Please, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. Hello. One day I'll think of something snazzier to introduce myself, something a little more catchy, but I don't know. I still haven't really thought of anything. I mean, I have to say the name of the podcast. I have to say my name, right? I don't know. I need to actually just do the video of it, and that way I can throw in jazz hands or something. Be like, the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. Jazz hands. But that's when I finally do an actual video portion of this instead of just audio, which I really need to do because I need to get some more listeners. So I need to also put out more podcasts because I'm only putting out 2 a week. Oh, my cat is getting dementia. And I just fed him, quite literally. He just got done eating and he comes over and thinks he has to eat again. And he'll go out in one room and beg to leave the room. And he'll want you to open the door and he'll just scream and yell about it. And then you open the door and you let him out. And then about 2 minutes later, quite literally 2 minutes, he will turn around and scream and yell and beg to come back into the room he just begged to leave. And he'll do this 4 or 5 times. This is what he's starting to do. He does it once a day and then he's good. It's he has to get it out of the way at some point in the day. It's not just morning, afternoon, or evening. It's just at some point in the day he does this. And then he's good to go for the rest of the day. He's 23. I have a 23-year-old cat who does not look 23. No one believes me when I tell him, and he doesn't. The vet is like, holy cow, he's in such good health. So I do think he's starting to get a little bit of some dementia going on. But 23, that's crazy old. I don't know what that's equivalent to in human years, maybe 123, but it's crazy. He is he's in very good shape. And so don't hate me, but his technical name is Blade, but we call him Fatty because we got him on Fat Tuesday because they were having a fat cat special and it was Fat Tuesday, but it was also, they were, this sounds like a horrible way to phrase it, but basically if you got an overweight cat, you got them at a discount. So it was a fat cat special because it was Fat Cat Tuesday. And if you got kind of an overweight cat, then you got a discount. So he was a little chunky monkey when we got him. Now he's not. He's in good shape, but he was chunky when we got him. So, but my son was really young at the time, and Pokemon was all the thing, and so was X-Men, and he was trying to think of something that was kind of like a Pokemon X-Men kind of thing. So we named him Blade because of his claws, and we ended up changing it to we just jokingly called him Fatty as a nickname, which people think is so rude. They're like, oh my God, you're going to hurt your cat. Your cat's going to have a horrible he's not going to have any self-esteem, no self-worth. And I'm like, he has no idea what fatty means. He doesn't know. Plus, we're saying it in a very endearing way. We love him. He's spoiled rotten. He gets treated very well. But people actually get crazy upset over the fact that we call him Fatty. Makes me laugh. I should do a video on it and post it and see what the lefties think of that. With all the craziness going on in the world, the lefties are. So I decided to dip my toe a little bit and see what's going on as far as news-wise, or as far as politics, not news, but as far as politics. And it's cracking me up because basically it's the same thing. It's more lefties losing it. It's more crying and whining and throwing temper tantrums and rioting and protesting. And haven't they been doing this for 100 years now? Is there anything else that Democrats know how to do other than bitch and moan? It's just, Oh my God, it's really exhausting. It's so exhausting. What are you contributing? In what way is your constant, incessant screaming and yelling destroying Tesla buildings? Like, exactly what did you achieve by doing that? What on earth was your goal when you decided to burn cars? By the way, cars that have rubber tires and you're burning rubber and burning a car in general is not good for the environment. Also, 2 seconds ago, you guys loved Tesla because it was an electric car. In fact, you guys were trying to cram electric cars down everyone's throats, and now you're setting them on fire, but claim to be all about the climate, and you claim to be doing this because of fascism. I just That's just an idiot sandwich right there as, um, um, oh my God, why did I just forget his name that does the chef? Gordon Ramsay. There we go. As Gordon Ramsay would say, you are an idiot sandwich. That's just absolutely moronic. I don't know what you're achieving. You're ruining people's cars that had nothing to do with anything. They paid for those cars, they bought those cars, they've earned those cars. They don't work for Elon. And then if you go to the Tesla buildings and you set Teslas on fire, what did you just achieve? What did you do? I think every single one of those people that keys Teslas, and I love, by the way, that Teslas have those cameras on them, because all these people are getting caught, and that's fantastic. I love it. But what was I going to say? Oh, it's cracking me up that all of these people are getting caught, keying Teslas and stuff, but then they're sitting here setting things on fire and then saying, we are the most peaceful people and we hate Elon because he is causing all kinds of problems and he is dismantling Social Security and then they call him a Nazi. He's a Nazi. And that's all they got. And people are like, okay, well, why is he a Nazi? Did you see the hand gesture? Well, that's already been explained away. He's an autistic dude and he was saying, um, my heart goes out to you. And that's been explained away a million times, and any normal person would know that. But also then they're like, okay, well, give examples of things that Elon has done that you don't like. Why are you protesting him, basically? Like, give us reasons, give us things that Elon has done that are making you so angry that you're protesting. And not a damn person ever says anything. They just hold up their sign, stick their sign in your face, yell and scream at you, and start calling you a racist Nazi, start calling Elon a racist Nazi, because that is their answer to every single thing in the world that they don't have an answer to, which is most things when you're a Democrat, because they believe in not being educated whatsoever. In fact, again, here in the state of Oregon, they don't give a shit if you can read, write, or speak English, or if you know math, you can still graduate. So if you ask these protesters why they're protesting, the most they will say is, Elon's a fascist. Elon is a Nazi. And then when you ask them what a fascist is or why they think he's a Nazi or why that warrants burning cars or spray painting his building or laying down and pretending like you're dead with a tombstone, like, I don't know. I'm sorry, but here's the deal. If you line your ass up in the middle of a highway, which is what these protesters are also doing, the ones that are protesting, that are pro-Palestine, pro-terrorism, pro-Hamas, those people decided that it would be smart and wise and okay if they stop traffic on a highway, if they just tootle on out, just saunter on out into cars that are going 55 plus miles an hour, 65, 80 miles an hour, plus, and They're just deciding, I know what we're going to do. To show our support for Palestine, we are going to line ourselves up across traffic because somehow that helps Palestine. I don't know how, but it somehow does, though, people, okay? And also, when people honk at us because we're trying to, like, maybe get to work, maybe we just had a family member be born, maybe we are on our way back from work. Who knows? The point is, it doesn't matter where they're going. They're on a highway and you have no business being there, let alone stopping traffic and preventing people from going where they need to go. So I say you solve that problem by running them over. Because here's what I know. I know that if an oven is hot and I touch it once and I burn myself, I'm like, oh, damn, that shit's hot. I don't want to touch it again. And I know that I was taught to look both ways before I cross the road. And I know that if I don't look both ways before I cross the road and there is traffic, I'm probably going to get hit by a car. So I say, if you are looking both ways and you see that there are tons of cars coming, a car can't stop on a dime when you're going 55 plus miles an hour. A car can't stop on a dime when you're going 20 miles an hour. So why do these people think that someone doesn't have the right? If you're in my way and I'm downtown and you're swarming my car and I'm fearful of my life, which is what I would be when you've got like a mob around your car and they are pounding on your car and they are screaming at you and they are shouting death threats at you, I'm a little scared. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to fear for my life. So if I'm fearing for my life and they are on my property and they are trying to damage my property and they are also in the middle of a public road in which, yes, it's public to them too, but again, there are also laws. There's also simple laws like jaywalking, but you're also just not supposed to step out or prevent people from driving. You can't just do that. So if all those things are considered, I'm stepping on the gas. And if you happen to go underneath my tire, that's your fucking problem. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry at all. Sorry for your loss, but don't put yourself in a stupid fucking position then. Do stupid things, get stupid prizes. Stupid is as stupid does, pick a thing about being an idiot, and that's what you are. So again, if you are going to get in front of me and swarm a car or swarm anybody's car and damage their car and pound on their car and scream and yell at them, well, guess what? That person is now in danger. And you are allowed to protect yourself. It just boggles my mind. And this is still going on. I haven't been paying attention to a lot of the news for not too long, like a couple of weeks. That's it. But it cracks me up because I could go a couple of years and the same damn thing would be happening with Democrats because they're protesting when they're winning and they're protesting when they're losing. They just never shut the fuck up. They were going to have that silent riot or whatever, like, we can't be silent anymore. Anymore? Bet you've never been silent. That is not what you're known for. If you say the word Democrat to somebody, the first thing that pops into their mind is not going to be like, what a bunch of quiet, respectful young men and women. What a bunch of working hard, outstanding, respectful members of society. What a bunch of moral, ethical people. Those things don't get said in the same sentence or a definition of Democrat. I'm sorry, but they don't. And if you're a Democrat out there and you're listening and you are an OG Democrat, like a normal fucking Democrat, I'm sorry this is happening to your party. I've got nothing against you. Like I said, I don't have anything against anyone. I really, really genuinely mean this from the bottom of my heart. I could not care less what political party you're affiliated with, what you identify with, who you sleep with, what your religion is. I only care if you are trying to harm people or force people to believe in the things you do. If it puts other people's health and safety at risk because you are preventing them from going to work, or you are damaging their car and you are destroying their property and destroying their businesses, or you are beating people up or trying to kill people or call for the assassination of and threatening people because of their beliefs, I have a problem with you. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what you identify as. I have a problem with anybody that goes around calling for the president of the United States, even if it were Obama. I don't care who the president is. If you are actively calling out for he or she to be assassinated, you're fucked up. If you are stopping traffic and swarming people's cars and shouting and screaming at them, you're fucked up. If you're setting things on fire and you're spray painting people's businesses and you're shouting obscenities and you're threatening people and you're harassing people, you're fucked up. And I don't care what your package looks like. I don't care what your body looks like, meaning man, woman, what color you are. That's fucked up. So again, I'm true equality. True equality. Don't care who you are. I have a problem with everybody equally that does that kind of crap. And it is the most childish. The shit that I watch grown adults, well into adulthood, 65, 70-year-old grown people saying the most childish things, behaving in the most childish way. And do we forget that this is now the day and age of internet, and people can watch this and then their kids will watch this. So they will have family members that will see grandma out there acting like an idiot. And you are now telling your family, you're telling your grandchildren, you're telling the children of the world that this is how adults behave. This is how adults should behave. They should throw temper tantrums anytime they don't get their way. They should allow strangers to touch their body. You should approach a stranger and have that stranger do a lap dance for you and give them money for it. We spent our entire lives telling kids, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. And now we're forcing them to not only talk to strangers, but have strangers rub their naked asses, their naked coochies, their naked breasts, their half-naked breasts in their faces for money. And Trump supporters are the weird ones? Sorry, my voice just got really high right there. Woo! My voice got high. I hit puberty all of a sudden, finally. I don't know. But why are we the deranged ones? There's that stupid fucking video going out with Harry Sissy boy. God, that guy's just the biggest, like, you cannot look at Harry Sisson. You can't. You just cannot look at him without just wanting to immediately punch him in that douchey, smarmy fucking face. God, his face pisses me off. I'm sorry, but it really just, all you have to do is show that to, like, if we're trying to get information out of like another country and we're like, tell us the information, all you have to do is like put Harry's face on there and people will be like, oh my God, just don't make me look at him anymore. And they'll cough up the information because he's just, fuck, that guy's a dick. But anyway, there's that commercial with all these people that are like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I get political when I talked about how I want my daughter to have the right for abortion? And then they go on and on about, oh, did I get political when I don't want my family to be deported? And then each person says something, that's totally false and not what's going on. Because again, lies and misinformation. Because again, Democrats want us nice and stupid so they can tell us what to do and we'll blindly follow. God, it's just so infuriating because you try to take a break and no matter where you go, it's a Democrat screaming and yelling and spreading lies, screaming, yelling, spreading lies. And we tell our kids, don't throw temper tantrums. Don't throw temper tantrums. That's not how you get your way. And what are we teaching our kids? To throw temper tantrums every time they don't get their way. Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers. What are we teaching kids? To not only talk to strangers, but to get lap dances from them with their coochies hanging out. We tell kids it's not okay for people to touch you in your private areas. Don't let anyone touch you in your private areas. Your private areas are private. We keep them to ourselves. Now, what are we doing? Showing off every single fucking book now that the Democrats are trying to shove down kids' throat is pretty much porn, and teaching them like all about touching themselves and touching other kids, and how it's okay if grandpa or uncle or dad. Okay, I have no idea if this just stopped in the middle of everything. I will have to check. I'm going to proceed and kind of see if it paused and then came back. But I got a phone call again in the middle of my podcast. And this is yet another, well, not another reason. It's the same reason that I've been saying this entire time on why I need to stop doing this into my phone and actually use my real equipment, which I have. I have a very nice setup. I'm just being an absolute freaking weirdo about sitting still and doing a podcast. The thought of that is just, I don't know if I'm capable of it. It just sounds awful to me. I have to walk around or I have to be outside. I can't sit. But I need to, because now I have no idea if this is the beginning of my podcast and I just all of a sudden started my podcast talking, or if I actually did leave off because I had to pause it to answer the phone. And I went to like unpause it, and this new recorder thing that's on my phone, it doesn't show if it left off or if it's like what's going on. So there's that. See, if you're just tuning in, this is something that you will just, it's one of the little quirks, one of the little um, fun things that you deal with when you're listening to my podcast. A, crappy quality. You don't get the studio quality. B, I don't do like a video. It's just like all audio. So you never like see me in a studio or see me unless you look at like my social media things like my Instagram or Twitter or Clapper and that kind of stuff. But um, which is funny, I do those, but then I won't do the video because again, I can walk around. It's all about walking around and not sitting still. I don't want to sit still. But also, you never know if I'm going to be talking about something and then get a phone call or get sidetracked. And then all of a sudden, when I go to talk again, I could be talking about a totally different subject, and you'll hear the pause. And then I'm like, oh, I don't remember where I left off. And so then you'll be, as the listener, you'll be like listening to me all jazzed up about something. And then all of a sudden it's like, skirt. And then I don't know what word, I know what I just said, skirt, skeet, whatever it is. Then all of a sudden I'm talking about something entirely different that has nothing to do with um, what I left off on before I got my phone call. So there's that. Um, and I definitely digress a lot. So, hey, if you don't mind those things, then I am totally your podcast. I also don't usually stick to one, like, I don't just talk politics. I discuss anything that's keeping me awake at night. Like, literally, I am such an insomniac. Many things keep me up, and I just tend to discuss those things that are on my brain. So, that said, I know I was babbling about leftists and protesting and what does that do and how our children are learning from us. And we spent our their entire lives telling them not to talk to strangers and, to keep their private areas private and um, all of that. And yet now Democrats are totally trying to preach to kids to mutilate their bodies and talk to strangers and have people rub their body parts and in their faces and do it for money. So I know I was ranting about those things. And it's just, I don't understand how Elon Musk is the bad guy right now. He just got astronauts home from space. Now, that's something I admit I have not been really keeping up on a lot. I do know that it is a fact that Elon is the reason that those 2 astronauts are not still floating around out there in space. Elon is the reason that they're home. I do know that Elon gave Starlink satellite to people in North Carolina or people that were affected by the hurricane and freezing temperatures. I do know that he is doing a lot to try to make progress to potentially maybe live on Mars and just try to further humanity and look out into space and see what's going on out there. He's doing a lot right now to, I don't know, save us money for taxpayers not having to have all of our money being stolen from us. So he is pointing out the fraud and money laundering that has been going on by politicians and trying to get back taxpayer monies so that we are not forking over taxes to transgender Sesame Street and all this bullshit in other countries. In other countries, clearly a money laundering scheme. And that is why the Democrats are so pissed off right now, because their gravy train has been cut off. And now, they're like, oh, shit. We owe a lot of people a lot of favors. We promised a lot of bigwig people favors. Now we have no money to make them, and we can't follow through on our promises because Trump is getting in the way of their shady behavior, their criminal behavior. And by the way, why on earth is Fauci and Jasmine Crockett, why aren't they in prison right now? Why aren't there people in prison right now that have very, very clearly committed crimes? If this were Trump, if Trump didn't even do anything. Trump did nothing. The man had the FBI, the CIA, and every branch of the government up his ass and his family's ass for 8 years, and they couldn't come up with a fucking thing. They had to make shit up. They had to to make it a felony. They had to absolutely stretch the law in ways that aren't even legal just to make it a felony. And that's all they could come up with, is that he supposedly paid this, supposedly paid the, what was it, paid Stormy or whatever money. And Nora, oh my God, sorry, my dog is getting into all the garbage. Stop. But they had to come up with felony, 34 counts of a felony by stretching the law in such a way it was absolutely insane. But the man is so squeaky clean, that's all they could come up with. Meanwhile, Biden and Clinton, both Clintons, Hillary and good old Bill, Obama, and that whole club. I'm not saying that Republicans don't do things. I'm sure there are a lot of Republicans that are just as shady. You don't even have to delve into anything, and you come up with a million different money laundering schemes. And I don't understand how none of that got the Democrats' attention. They didn't care. Well, I do understand. It's because it's their guy. It's their guy. So since it's their guy, then we overlook those things. I'm sorry, I really would not overlook if Trump, even though Trump is my guy, I'm not going to overlook him spending our Social Security. I'm not going to overlook him wasting taxpayer dollars on other countries having transgender Sesame Street or transgender Broadway, plays. That's not something I'm going to say that that's okay, no matter if it's a Republican or Democrat. And so, wrong is wrong, right? If someone kills somebody, I don't understand why it matters what skin color they were. Just like that scene in My Cousin Vinny, when he's like, Oh my God. Joe Pesci is like asking her how he looks and like if the pants are okay and if these pants are okay to go hunting in, because the other lawyer wants to take him hunting out in the cabin and he thinks he's being shady by trying to get information out of this lawyer, not realizing that the lawyer legally has to give him all the information. So he's like, I'm not going to get this totally right. I'm not going to totally quote this correctly, but the gist of it is, how do these pants look? And she's like, imagine you're a little deer, a little doe-eyed deer, prancing around in the woods, and you go down to dip your head in the water, and then bam, some fucking hunter shoots you in the head. Are you going to care what pants they're wearing? Again, I know that's not exactly verbatim what she says, but that's the gist. I feel the same way about Democrats and Republicans. I don't give a shit what political party you attach yourself to, what you're affiliated with. If you are spending taxpayers' money on anything but the United States and things that benefit us, if you are stealing from us, if you are money laundering, that is not okay with me, no matter if you're black or white, transgender, or what you identify as. It's wrong. So this is just bizarre to me that we're worried about Elon Musk and that they keep trying to throw out the Nazi arm thing. Oh my God, are you for real? You're grasping at straws. You're just grasping at straws. I don't, I just don't get it. I'm not claiming to be like the most intelligent person in the world at all. That's why I don't discuss certain things that I don't know all the details to. Like I shouldn't have. I'm really tired, and I always say this, but again, ramblings of an insomniac. I shouldn't go into all the details of the Trump fraud because then I sound like a Democrat if I don't know all the details. And I did. I've read up on them, but I'm just absolutely not articulating things correctly at all. So um, I do know that the guy has had the CIA up his ass. I do know enough to know that the 34 um, counts, they had to really twist things and do a bunch of shady shit just to even get it up because of how the law works. But that's all they could come up with. And meanwhile, we're worried about Elon Musk, a man who is trying his best, a man that they loved 2 seconds ago. They revered him because he was making electric cars. They were all about Elon. And now they've turned. They just turn on each other. They are killing themselves from within like little parasites. And it's sad and embarrassing. And again, the internet is forever. So when you are a grown person well into adulthood and you're like 65 years old and you are throwing a temper tantrum and calling people names, your grandkids are going to see that. Your family's going to see that. And plus, you just look ridiculous. You look like a child. And it's embarrassing. And I'm embarrassed for you and your family. And it doesn't help anybody. You're doing literally nothing to help anybody. You're just using it as an excuse to destroy things, and you're doing the whole virtue signaling crap. Ugh, frustrating. Anyway, again, I don't know if this works, so we will have to check it out. But if you are listening and you're still listening, are you still listening? Do I even have any listeners out there? To this episode, or have we tuned out because I have just been all over the place? If you're still listening, man, you should be like Navy SEAL status. I'm preparing your mind for like Navy SEALs, because if you can follow along with me and you can also stay awake, like they should play my podcast in the Navy SEALs training. If they're like, I don't know if this actually happens, but the scene on G.I. Jane where they're trying to get everyone to fall asleep and they're doing everything they can to see who falls asleep, and they make it really hot and they play certain music and blah, blah, blah. They could play my podcast and see if that keeps people awake or makes them fall asleep. But so I'm preparing you mentally, see. But if you're still listening and you've been listening to my podcast, or if you're a first-time person and you're probably like, oh, I don't know if I'll tune in again. I would like to say it gets better, but it does not. You'll just have to come up. This is kind of how it is. I am thinking, like I said, about getting video though. So seeing my face is probably not better, but it seems to help people it draws attention a little more. So anyway, first time, second time, if you're tuning in, I appreciate it greatly no matter how often you have. I so appreciate it. I can't tell you enough how much it means to me that people actually tune in on purpose to hear me out and hear what I have to say. Thank you so much. And until next time.